To end poverty, we need systematic change.
If we want to reduce poverty in the world, we should hear the voice from developing countries.
We need to do something to dismantle this systemic injustice to create a better world.
We often hear that international institutions are driving human development. We also have the SDG, which clearly state the goal of global development. But have we ever thought, if these goals are so clear and global, why is poverty such a persistent issue? Through this video, I will take you to explore the role of international institutions in reducing inequality and also see how much progress they actually made. Are they really helping, or are there areas where they still need to improve? Human development is defined not only about economic growth, but it also involves enhancing people's overall quality of life. Rather than focusing only on traditional economic progress measurement, human development needs to involve a systemic action of how human beings live, including their freedoms, capability to live healthy, educated, and fulfilling life. The concern of human development has been discussed since the post-World War II, when the world started to realize the importance of global peace and prosperity. Since then, the international institutions were established to support equal development around the world. This includes the IMF, was created to promote international monetary cooperation and economic growth, the World Bank, to help developing countries to reduce poverty and improve their living standard, and also the UN, which is the initiator of the SDG, which aims to maintain the peace and building stronger cooperation among countries. Even though these institutions have initiated many programs, but poverty is still a big issue until today. Imagine you only have $215 to fulfill your daily life. And of course, it's hard to survive with that little amount of money. But that's the harsh reality for over 700 million people around the world. Even worse, it is also projected that our global goal of ending poverty by 2030 is unlikely to be achieved. Of course, COVID-19 is one of the reasons of this problem. And in fact, the majority of these poverty cases are found in developing countries. For example, Ghana has been in economic crisis since 2022. Believe it or not, the country has borrowed from the IMF for 16 times since their independence in 1957, mainly to stabilize its economy and manage public debt. But instead of increasing prosperity, this program made the country dependent on the short-term aid. In 2022, inflation hit 54% and around 850,000 Ghanaians were pushed into poverty as the price of everyday goods increased.
I had very less money left for me to shop for my baby.
Next, Ecuador also faced similar challenge. In 2022, the country faced significant struggle in managing impact of COVID-19 pandemic. And to stabilize their economic condition, the IMF approved a new 6.5 billion loans for their recovery. But this agreement came with a strict condition, including the privatization of public health facilities, removal of fuel subsidies, and the reinforcement of tax and budget reform. Consequently, this action intensified social inequality, and Ecuador's weak health system could not cope, and the country recorded the sixth highest COVID-19 death rate in the world. By 2022, 9.5% of the population still live below the poverty line. These are just a few examples of many other countries that are facing similar challenges. Countries like Argentina, Egypt, Pakistan, Ukraine, and many more have fallen into trap after taking loan from the IMF. If international organizations were truly effective in fighting poverty, then why are many million people, especially in developing countries, still struggling in extreme poverty? Well, the discussion from the IIO class give me three major reasons of it. International organizations often believe that neoliberalism is the best model to apply in every country. This idea assumes that the economy will work better when the government intervention is minimal and the market runs freely. This approach also supports austerity policies, which push developing countries to cut public spending and privatize basic services like healthcare and education. In reality, these policies don't always work in developing countries, as many people still struggle with unstable income and can't afford private services. Looking at countries like Ecuador and Ghana and many other developing countries, we can clearly see how IMF loans act more like a short-term first aid rather than solving the root cause of their problems. This situation is known as a debt trap, where a country gets stuck in a cycle of repeated borrowing and rising debt. And the research shows this trap can lead to long-term dependency and financial distress. Another factor is the structural gap between the global north and global south. The IMF and World Bank are heavily influenced by the powerful nation, giving them more control in decision making. For example, the US holds 16% of the IMF voting power, while many developing countries have less than 1%. This also happens in the UN, where veto powers often leads to biased decision that reflects powerful countries' interests instead of the global community as a whole. This creates a major gap where urgent needs of developing countries are left behind.
I am skeptical about the possibility to have an abolition of the veto. That doesn't mean, as I said, that I like it.
These are the three main reasons why poverty continues to exist and burden developing countries. Interestingly, a study found that neoliberalism can also fuel corruption, where business actors collude with the governments for personal gain and manipulate the free market. Before joining this class, I only had a basic knowledge about international institutions, and I thought their existence is fully effective in promoting global peace and prosperity. But after taking this class, and also looking at these real cases, I feel like there's so many things to be improved for this organization. As Indonesian citizen, we are also part of the global south, and I can see the imbalance that happened in my own country as well. Big city like Jakarta will continue to grow, while many other undeveloped areas like Papua will still struggle to get basic needs like health and also education. Unemployment remains high, and also corruption is deeply rooted in our political system. And I also learned that Indonesia owes debt to the IMF, which has led to higher tax policy. And of course, this will hurt the poor people, while the wealthy people can still collude with the government and also control the free market. To truly enhance human development and achieve zero poverty, international institutions must stop applying one-size-fits-all model. Voting power inequality must be reformed so developing countries have a fair voice. More importantly, the IMF must shift from short-term fixes to long-term root cause solution. Therefore, I recommend 3 actions, including reform global decision-making to ensure fair representation, adopt flexible context-specific development models, and lastly, to prioritize a long-term development support over short-term crisis aid. As Nelson Mandela said, overcoming poverty is not a gesture of charity, it is an act of justice.